The average refrigerator sold in 1980 lasted 25 years. The one sitting in your kitchen right now has a statistical lifespan of under 10. And if you bought a French door model with a door ice maker in the last 5 years, you may already be past the halfway point without knowing it. Before you spend $2,500 to $3,500 on a replacement this weekend, or if you just bought one in the last year, you need to understand what manufacturers changed inside these machines, why repair technicians are refusing to fix them, and which 3 options will actually protect your kitchen and your wallet for the next 2 decades. 40 years ago, the refrigerator in your parents' kitchen ran on a rotary compressor. It was a motor that spun in a circle sitting in a bath of oil. Every time it ran, the spinning action splashed that oil around the chamber and lubricated every moving part automatically. The system was loud. It used more electricity than regulators eventually wanted, but it was nearly, indestructible, because it never stopped lubricating itself. Appliance technicians from that era will tell you the same thing. The rotary compressor was the closest thing to a perpetual machine that residential appliances ever produced. People got 20, 25, sometimes 30 years out of a single refrigerator. 1 service call per decade was considered average. Your grandparents bought 1 refrigerator, maybe 2, in their entire adult lives. Then the regulations changed. The manufacturers found a cheaper path to compliance, and everything that made those machines last was quietly engineered out. Here is what they put in its place, and what it is going to cost you. Starting in the early 2000s, manufacturers began replacing the rotary compressor with something called a linear compressor. Instead of spinning, this motor drives a piston back and forth in a straight line like a syringe. On paper, it uses less energy and runs more quietly. In practice, it has a fatal flaw that every engineer involved understood from the beginning. Because the piston moves in a straight line and never spins, it cannot splash oil around the chamber. It relies instead on a small, complex system of valves and springs to deliver lubrication to the moving parts. Those valves degrade. Those springs fatigue. Under normal household use, the system fails. Not if when. And when a linear compressor fails, it does not fail cleanly. It sends metal shavings directly into the sealed refrigerant lines running through your entire refrigerator. The cooling system is not just damaged, it is contaminated. Repair technicians describe it the same way every time. It is like a heart attack where the clot has traveled into every artery simultaneously. You cannot replace just the compressor. The entire sealed system is compromised. That repair runs $1,200 to $1,800 on a machine that cost you $2,500 to $3,000. Most technicians will not even attempt it. They hand you a quote, shake their head, and tell you the 4 words that define the modern appliance economy. It is not worth fixing. Then there is the second engineering crime hiding in your kitchen, and this one is almost insulting in how predictable it was. For decades, ice makers lived in the freezer compartment. This made obvious engineering sense. The freezer is below freezing, which is the only environment where you can reliably make ice. But modern consumers wanted cleaner freezer space, so manufacturers moved the ice maker up into the refrigerator compartment. They are now attempting to freeze water inside a box, engineered to hold food at 38 degrees Fahrenheit. To make it work, they pump freezing air up from the bottom through thin plastic tubes into a compartment that is actively fighting the temperature they need. The seals fail. Warm air infiltrates. The ice maker frosts over, jams, and starts leaking water onto your kitchen floor. The fan motor burns out trying to compensate. A Samsung French door refrigerator ice maker repair runs $300 to $600 before labor. On some models, accessing the unit requires disassembling half the interior. They engineered a system that violates basic thermodynamics and charged you a premium for the privilege. Let's talk about who is selling you these machines. LG is the most documented case. Beginning around 2019, class action lawsuits were filed against LG in multiple U.S. federal courts over linear compressor failures affecting millions of refrigerators sold between 2014 and 2020. The complaints followed an identical pattern. The refrigerator stops cooling without warning, food is lost, a technician is called, and the repair is quoted at more than half the cost of a new unit. LG settled the litigation, offering affected customers repairs, replacements, or partial reimbursements, but only if they knew about the settlement, navigated the claims process, and still had documentation. Most people simply bought a new refrigerator. The failure pattern also extended to Kenmore-branded refrigerators sold through Sears during the same period, because Kenmore had been sourcing compressors and core components from LG for years. Millions of consumers who thought they were buying a trusted American brand were living with an LG linear compressor under a different nameplate. Repair professionals today widely flag LG refrigerators as among the least serviceable units in the market. Many independent shops will not take the job. The linear compressor failure is not a defect LG quietly fixed. The design remains in production across their current lineup. Quick question before we get to what actually works. Drop a comment right now and tell me how long your last refrigerator lasted. And if you have ever gotten a repair quote that was more than half what the machine cost, I want to hear that too. I have a feeling the numbers you report are going to be a lot worse than the industry's own data admits. So what do you actually buy? Here are 3 answers, depending on your situation. If you're willing to spend for the long haul, buy Miele. Miele is a German manufacturer that tests their refrigerators for the equivalent of 20 years of home use before a model ships. They guarantee spare parts availability for a minimum of 15 years after a model launches. Their compressor designs are traditional, proven, and serviceable. You are looking at $2,500 to $4,000. That is a real number. But a Miele refrigerator purchased today has a reasonable chance of outlasting 2 or 3 replacement cycles from any brand on the big box floor. If you cannot spend at that level, do the opposite of what the showroom wants you to do. Find the cheapest, plainest refrigerator available. No touchscreen, no door ice maker, no Wi-Fi connectivity, no linear compressor. Repair data from Yale Appliance, which tracks real-world service rates across every major brand they sell, shows a direct correlation between feature count and failure rate. The dumbest model on the floor is statistically the most reliable model on the floor. A basic top freezer refrigerator from almost any manufacturer will outlast a $3,000 smart French door unit from the same brand. Buy boring, buy durable. And if you have a refrigerator from 1995 to 2005 still running in your garage or basement, do not replace it. A rotary compressor from that era is mechanically superior to the majority of what is currently in production. A $150 service call keeps a 25-year-old machine running. That same $150 does not exist as an option on a modern sealed system failure. Here is the rule repair technicians use and the one line I want you to remember before you walk into any appliance store. Check the compressor type. Check the ice maker location. If the spec sheet says linear compressor, walk away. If the ice maker is mounted in the refrigerator compartment. Instead of the freezer, walk away. Manufacturers stopped building refrigerators. They started building subscription appliances. A machine's engineered to a 5-year lifespan, priced to make repair uneconomical, and designed to push you back to the showroom on a predictable schedule. The rotary compressor lasted 30 years because nobody had a financial incentive to make it fail faster. That incentive now exists, and the machines reflect it. Next week, we are covering ovens, specifically the self-clean cycle, and why pressing that one button is the single fastest way to destroy a modern range. The repair bill is $400. The cause is a feature they marketed as a luxury. That one is even worse than this.